guys, today I kind of want to talk about why I identify as queer. So the reason why I'm talking about this, as I talk about everything else, is because I get a lot of questions about people asking me what's my sexual orientation, am I single, am I gay, am I straight, am I pan, am I bi? Especially because sometimes I say things in my videos that people may be confused about, and I've actually, in one video, I don't remember which one, so I'm sorry, like I cannot remember, but I remember saying something like, I identify as queer, like I'm attracted to men and women. And I'm like, I guess that would fall under pansexual as well, but for me, I prefer to identify as queer. And somebody in the comments was like, oh my god, you're bisexual, you should talk about being bisexual and be like, not like an ally, but like be like not a spokesperson, but like a figure for bisexuality to try to stop the stigma. And I understand the stigma, but I don't identify as bisexual. Not because of the stigma, because who fucking cares about that shit, but literally just because the word queer to me appeals to me in all aspects of my life. That's how I identify, like my gender identity, my gender expression, and even my my sexual orientation as well, or sexuality, whatever you want to use. So if I look at my shelf right here, my like books that I use for my research, I have about 9 books that talk about queer, have queer in the title. The first one that popped up and that I picked up is the Queer Studies reader, whatever. I had to use this for a queer theory class a long time ago. It actually feels like a Bible, like damn. This is actually not that good of a book, to be honest. Like I really expected a lot more, to be honest, but whatever. Anyways, so the reason why I brought this up is because, and of course the fucking first page I open is Judith Butler, fuck this. So the reason why I like the word queer so much is that because there's not one definition of it. And like that's my personal opinion, because if you look at this book and you look at like 5 different articles that are in this book, because this is different articles, and you look at the Transgender Studies Reader 1 and 2, and you look at this book here called Debates in Transgender, Queer, and Feminist Theory, and you look at the Gendered Society Reader, and you look at all the gender and identity, the gender and sexual, all of these. If you look at all of these, they all have a different version and definition of what it means to be queer, or what the definition means and implies to other people, or in a general term. And that is what I love. And I know some people might not love that. Some people might say that it's an offensive term and that we don't have the right to reclaim it, but I feel like this term has been reclaimed a lot by people who fall under the category of queer. It is no longer a bad word. I remember being in this class and somebody being like, honestly, when I saw the title of this class, I didn't even know if I was allowed to say it out loud. I thought it was a slur. So because it has so many different meanings and people can take on any meaning that they want of queer, I will explain what my definition of queer is. Now, before I explain this, you need to understand that you can't generalize people who may feel the same way as I do and define it, but don't identify as queer. Like, don't purposely identify people as queer unless they identify as queer. That's one of the main things that I've learned in all the literature. Yeah, this is academia, but it does relate to real life. I have seen people be like, don't identify me as queer, I'm pansexual, or I'm bisexual, or I'm just trans. Just trans. Like, there's another identity that comes with that, you know? 2 for 1. So for me, being queer is all about my expression. It's not about being different from the norm, but a part of it is. And it's not being purposely different. It's just how I am. So if I look at the norms and values that society holds, I hate them. And there are a couple of things that I love and that I feel, yes, should be implemented, but most of the things that are related to gender expression, gender roles, are literally bullshit. And I will like fuck society, literally. Why do I choose to study this? I'm in sociology, by the way. If you don't know, I'm doing my master's in sociology. So if I look at these norms and values that I absolutely hate, I don't purposely like walk away from them and be like, I don't want to be normal and walk away. I don't do that. If you look at me, I have a very masculine presentation and I identify as male. So I do really uphold those stereotypes of masculinity in some way, which is what society teaches us. So I'm not purposely doing it, but queer to me is more like I have a different mindset. It's also more of a political identity as well. And in that aspect, it can be a bit different for people, because queer identity can be a radical queer identity. Regards to politics, this is getting a little bit confusing. Sorry, but for me, I don't relate it to politics, okay? That's for me. If you want to look at queer politics and stuff like that, go ahead, but this video is really just about my identity and how I encompass queer my entire life. Okay, so let me give you actual examples instead of just theorizing up in here and like saying fuck society's norms and shit like that, right? Hashtag swearing so much in this video, sorry, but You know, when I make videos about society, like if you've noticed, those are the videos that I swear the most in. Wonder why. Also, I know I'm glistening, and it's not because I have like a natural glow and I'm so happy today. It's because the windows and doors are closed and the fan's not on, and these two lights are right on me, and I'm literally already, this is disgusting. Shh. So, 1, queer as a sexuality / sexual orientation. I identify as queer just because like I don't care who I fall in love with. And yeah, some people might call that bisexual, some people might say pansexual, some people do make a very, very deep like separation of bisexual and pansexual. Some people in the bisexual community are like, of course I'm open to dating trans people and non-binary people. It doesn't matter. Whereas some people in the pansexual are just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. I fall in love with the person, not the gender, whatever. Cool, whatever. To me, I literally am just like, whatever. So I know it's hard to explain, but I prefer the word queer than pansexual, even though they typically can mean the same thing. It's more like a queer mindset, I guess. I'm attracted to queer, like-minded individuals. That makes absolutely no sense. It's getting really hot. I don't know if you can see my sweat here, but it's very sexy. So yeah, queer is like a sexual orientation thing, is more like a general term, I guess. It's just like, oh, are you gay? Are you straight? I'm queer. And then their faces are just like, I also really like this word because it kind of fucks with people who like don't understand any of this stuff. They're like, oh, I thought you were just gay. I'm like, oh no, I'm queer. And to them, queer means gay. So they look at me like, but you just said you weren't gay. And I just like fucking with them because that's who I am. So I guess like queer as an identity is to fuck around with people. Not like that, but that's not for here. Find me on Grindr. Kidding. Okay, let's move away from that and let's go now to gender identity and gender expression. I feel like I'm getting a lot more comfortable in my gender expression and gender identity. And I feel like, yeah, I identify as male, but I don't identify as 100% male. And I'm not non-binary either. This is just how I feel my body is. And it's funny because before I came out, I felt like I was like, maybe I'm 70% man and 30% woman, because I was confused. I didn't understand how things work. And it's funny, now that I'm more comfortable in my body and I'm more comfortable in myself and my identity and all these things, I do feel like I'm probably around 80% male and like 20% squiggle. And that squiggle is the queer. And that's what I love, because my identity, like if somebody asks me if I'm male or female, I'm gonna say male. But if somebody asks with my gender identity, like I love to say queer, because for people sometimes it just relates to as a sexual orientation, but queer can literally, is so malleable that you can attribute it to anything. And I absolutely love that. I can probably make a why I'm queer part 2 video if this is a little bit confusing. I feel like I am all over the place. Make sure I do it on a day that isn't so goddamn hot. It's literally like 34 degrees right now and it's like 9 p.m. 34 Celsius, by the way, so that's like 86 or some shit like that. Whew. Oh my god, I'm so hot, I gotta take off my clothes. Grindr, I'm kidding. Oh my god, I need to stop. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, one more thing. I do not believe that everyone who is trans is queer. Like I said, do not attribute this queer identity to anyone else unless they identify as that, please, because that is literally one of the biggest mistakes that people do. I identify as queer. I prefer this word. That's who I am. I am still trans. I am still a trans man. I am still female to male trans, whatever. But if you ask me really about my sexuality, there's no other word that I'm going to use other than queer. I don't identify with the word pansexual. I think it's maybe just like a comfort thing with the words, but also more of an identity. Makes no sense. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Do you identify as queer? Do you hate this word? Is this like, how many times have I said the word queer in this video? If you counted, please write it down, because, you know, I should have kept a tally right here, because I probably said it about 68 times. If I'm right, you get a jelly bean. I need water, yeah. I know it looks ridiculous to drink water out of those shaker things, but you get a big gulp when you drink it. Anyways, have a great week. I don't know what you think about this queer thing. Think of B, have a swell, bye.